All right, we're going. Hey guys, welcome back to the portal. Today we have a awesome episode for
Great show.
y'all. We are going to continue going over the alien agenda and UFO phenomenon. Uh, we're going to dive into deep underground military bases. We're going to go over different uh, known alien species that are reported. It's and a bunch of whistleblower testimonies, and um, especially through Phil Snyder and his story, which is pretty wild.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, it's this topic is it kind of brings everything into together, and again, we come at it more of a biblical point of view as opposed to a like traditional alien um, kind of what traditionally aliens are thought of as um,
Little green
but
men from Mars.
right um, and other than the reptilians, I don't really think any of them are green.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, let's go over this alien agenda. So the alien agenda is basically the what would you say, aliens working with the leaders in government of the New World Order
Yeah. Deep
in
state.
tandem. The deep, you can call them deep state, the New World Order. Um, Basically, the
Governing
evil
elite.
elites,
Yeah.
the 13 satanic bloodlines, they're all the same people. They
Mhm.
go by many names. Um, so Phil Snyder. Let's talk about Phil Snyder. For those of you who don't know who Phil Snyder is, he was a government contracted geological engineer and aerospace or space aeronautical. Is that how you say it?
I think
Yeah,
that's right.
space aeronautical engineer. Um, and he was hired through our black budget, which I just learned is at $1.23 trillion every 2 years is our black
Hmm.
budget. That's a ton.
Major amounts of money, unfathomable amounts of money.
And that's actually, is that higher than our regular military budget?
I would think so, or
Yeah,
if not
I think
higher,
so.
right at it.
Not to mention all the embezzlement money that
Oh,
gets
absolutely.
flown that way. I bet. Oh man. So he was hired um, back in the uh, 70s or early 70s to late 70s to basically one of the two bases that he worked on specifically would be the Dulce base and
Hmm.
um, the Area 51, specifically the S4 underground base.
Hmm.
And basically, what he was hired to do was to dig out and bore the or the rock and the mountains, bore out that entire place to start building a underground base. Now, what's crazy is he Randcorp, or a company called Randcorp, he said, developed a boring laser
Hmm.
that basically would, first of all, you could bore up to 7 miles a day with this laser.
It
Now, what
basically
this,
liquefies the rock, doesn't it?
well, part one of the laser uh, basically turns the rock into a powder, and then the powder is blasted back through the tunnel, then melted to the sides of the tunnel. which causes basically the tunnel to have a smooth, hard shell around it, and then you have the rock
It
behind
kind
it.
of
But
cauterizes it, basically.
yeah, exactly. Um, so he was hired to basically build out the space for these deep underground military bases or DUMBs. Um, so wait, I was listening to his story. Um, he was actually involved. So this is 1954. No, 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 no. Sorry. Let me get his thing back. Okay. So 1977 was when he was contracted. Um, he's worked on it. He's done work on just about every deep underground military base in the United States, which he says there's 131 underground military bases, along with uh, a underground rail system that connects all bases to each other. Uh, he says designed almost like a spider web, where you can get to any base through this rail system uh, and these channels. Where some of these rail systems can, or some of these trains can travel up to Mach 2.
Yeah.
Uh,
Now I've heard
and
that rail system also is worldwide as well. That it's also
the
worldwide.
worldwide, I
Yeah.
wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Now he says worldwide there's 1,477 underground military bases
Wow.
that uh, half those are military and extraterrestrial occupied, and with several different levels. The one in Dulce is the deepest underground military base that we have in our country. It's just south of the how do you say that? Archipelago Mesa.
I might be. I'm not 100% sure.
Basically, the Mesa system goes all the way up to Utah, down to New Mexico, into Nevada. Um, but so this particular military base has 7 different levels. The first 2 to 3 levels are very kind of routine works done. Once you get past 3, you have to have certain security clearance to
Mm-hmm.
actually even get past level 3. Um, and he said basically as you go deeper, the weirder things get. Now level 7 is strictly extraterrestrial. So he says that it's occupied by the small grays, the tall grays, and the reptilians,
Mm-hmm. The Draconians.
the draconians.
Mm-hmm.
He says the draconians are who are in charge between those 3 races, and um, the small grays are more of the foot soldiers, and then the tall grays are basically like the scientists who kind of run
Mm-hmm.
or do all the lab experiments, which checks out to a lot of abduction accounts that you hear when they say they wake up on a table and uh, getting experimented on. They always describe a tall gray doing the experiment. Sometimes I think I just froze up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm back. Um, Sometimes it's a combination between small and tall grays, but most of the time it's the tall grays.
And
Uh,
from what I understand from whistleblowers that work in these facilities, once you go down to those levels, it's a a mandatory rule. You cannot use the name of Jesus. You can't say anything religious
I
or
forgot about that. Yeah.
have anything to do with Jesus, God, or anything to do with the gospel. It's totally forbidden. You're not supposed to say anything to deal with Jesus or the gospel of Jesus.
Yeah, and he did talk about that. And one interesting thing about that is Phil Snyder's not a theological person at all. He
Hmm.
is very binary when it comes to that. He doesn't.
Hmm.
I guess you could call him an atheist. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, he's very matter of fact and scientific
Mhm.
based thinking. Um, he did. Let's see. Where did I leave off? Oh yeah, so the seven different levels. Interesting fact is they, as part of the security, they weigh you butt naked when you. So for the people that work in level 6, or level 4, 5, and 6, which is a mixture between extraterrestrials and people, that the people that go to each level, they weigh you butt naked when you enter and leave. And due to a uh, security guard by the name of Thomas Castiello, who he was a security guard in 19 late 1980s, uh,
Mhm.
who managed to sneak out a dozen different pictures and documents of stuff that's going on down there. Now, some of
Mhm.
this picture right here, I'm going to pull up right here. This picture was one of the pictures that he was able to get out of that base. Um, he said that there's a room where they have these human alien type hybrids
Mhm.
growing in these like sacks of fluid, which is so bizarre. And it looks like something out of like a
Oh,
movie.
straight out of a movie. Yeah, for sure.
Now, if you're reading this, Thomas and his family. Now, his family was unalived,
Yeah.
basically, by for this information getting out. Um,
So
as far as
this is an actual photo.
this is one of the pictures that he took,
Wow.
uh, allegedly.
Mhm.
Uh, the other pictures and documentation that he snuck out of there, I can't find. I I can't find it anywhere. Now I found kind of reprints and copies of what he supposedly took out, but if you can imagine, that stuff's been wiped clean from the internet.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
this is just such a bizarre thing. Now, part of the
Mhm.
alien agenda is the concept of getting doing away with humans and hybridizing people with either aliens or people with animals, basically triggering some type of human evolution that supposedly is going to advance us further as a civilization.
Well, they're
That's
trying to build a chimera is what they're doing. It's a
yeah, chimeras and alien
human
human
hybrid
hybrids.
chimera. Yeah.
But the whole goal of that is to just do away with humans in
Yeah.
general. Now, part of the New World Order agenda, which basically is the same as the alien agenda. The New World Order agenda just is the agenda that the elites are responsible to implement that coincides with the alien agenda. Basically, minimizing the human world population down by 5, 6, or 7/8 of the population gone.
Mm-hmm. Don't they
Specific
want it down
numbers.
to 500 million or something like that?
Yes, about 500 million total by 2029. That's their goal, which is not very far away.
No, it's not.
Um, Now, I think with recent kind of disclosure stuff happening, sorry guys, I'm yawning like crazy. With disclosure and stuff like that, I have a feeling that that's gotten pushed out a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
People are starting to wake up to what's kind of going on. People are starting to ask more questions.
Yeah.
They can't just. They still try to throw out like these narratives and expecting people to just believe them with no questions asked,
Mm-hmm.
like the system's always done before. But it's not really been the case lately. People are starting to do their own research, starting to ask questions, starting to look into these things like deep underground military base. Why are all our biolab laboratories underground in the
Yeah.
United States? Except, like, I mean, military funded biolabs.
Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
some of that would be because it's for containment purposes. If you keep it underground, uh, these experimental diseases and basically, chemical warfare um, weapons are kept underground because it'd be harder for them to be released if there is some type of breach if it's kept underground. But at the same time, if nefarious people want those to be exposed, what will the depths that they'll go to expose people to those pathogens or whatever those chemical things that they're doing that can run havoc on us.
Well, the thing with like, um, what did Fauci call it? What's the study of
Gain of function.
viruses? The gain of function research. So this whole gain of function research was claimed to find different vaccines and um, ways to do away with these deadly diseases, or find ways to vaccinate people from these deadly diseases. However, now they're playing with these diseases and they have no cure for them, and they're
And
not
they're
even like that's not even on the today's plans to do.
Yeah.
Like COVID. COVID was a virus that was engineered in a lab from the
Yeah.
SARS virus. They took the SARS virus and they played with it to make it more deadly, more contagious, and uh, could spread faster. And they had no interest in coming up with the vaccine for it, or
Well,
a true vaccine. They had a
yeah,
vaccine ready to
they had,
go.
yeah, they had the vaccine, but I think we saw under the Obama administration, the basically the Supreme Court said the gain of function was a dangerous area, and Obama said, "Listen, Fauci, we can't have gain of function in we can't do that in the United States." So what does Fauci do? He closes the labs down and moves them over to the Ukraine and moves them over to China and says, "Oh, okay, we're not supposed to be doing it, but I don't care what the president says, I'm going to do it anyway," which is the evil agenda of the evil elites. They don't care. They're going to do what they want to do.
Yeah,
And that's
well,
part of that
these
agenda.
viruses, that's part of the agenda to depopulate, and because that wasn't that lab in Chapel Hill, North Carolina.
I believe you're right. I believe that is correct. Yes.
Yeah.
And guess who was the lead technician at that lab?
Who?
A Chinese
National?
national.
Yeah.
Correct.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So back to this alien agenda in the military base. So what I found out is there was a treaty signed. So this kind of stems back to 1947 with Area 51 and the crash.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the what Snyder talks about is we've known about these flying saucer UFO stuff that go all the way back to 1933. I think that's when the first kind of like public report about sorry guys something in the sky that resembles a flying saucer. Uh, but before the crash at Roswell, nobody really like people were just like, what is that? The the thought of aliens still wasn't hitting the radar.
Yeah.
However, you have 1947, the crash at Roswell. Um, then you have the base pop up within a couple years in Roswell,
Mm-hmm.
New Mexico. Then in 1954, there was a treaty signed, an alien government treaty
Wasn't that with
that
Eisenhower?
mhm, President
Eisenhower signed that
Eisenhower
treaty.
signed one stating that the aliens or grays, draconians, whatever you want to call them, whatever species was a part of the signature. I'm assuming it was the tall grays, small grays, or reptilians, because those kind of seem to be the three that kind of work together. That he okayed that basically aliens can run experiments on everyday people. It is fine for them to abduct a few people every now and then. They just needed to give the government names and times and dates and details on when they're going to take these people in exchange for their
Technology.
technology basically.
Mhm.
Now this treaty didn't last very long, and quickly was apparent that they didn't really care about notifying any government entity who they were taking, how many people they were taking, and or anything like that. So a big kind of war kind of started between the government and aliens as far as that goes. Um, which which goes back to Phil Snyder's story of the underground firefight that happened where he went down and I guess what some type of like cherry picker basket down into a tunnel that they had just blasted because every time they would go down there and drill more with the laser, it would break and they'd pull it back up and it'd be all broken. So Phil Snyder and a couple of Green Berets go down there. As soon as they hit down, uh, they're greeted by a 7 foot tall gray alien.
Mm-hmm.
So Phil starts freaking out. He pulls out his pistol, shoots him, shoots the other one running back at him. The third one uh, basically does a motion in front of his chest and blasts Phil Snyder with a blue laser beam type, like laser beam of electricity that he said or that fried off his hand.
He
And
said it filleted him like a fish,
yeah,
and when it hit him, it gashed him, but it also cauterized him at the same time.
right. So he wasn't bleeding out, but he was in bad shape.
Yeah.
The Green Beret that was then after that happens, he said that Green Berets, he even said Secret Service was involved too. Agents came down, and there was a large firefight between the aliens and our military and Secret Service. And he said the final death count was 66 Green Berets, Black Berets, and Secret Service agents were killed. One Green Beret, he said that saved his life. Basically, put him back in the cherry picker bucket and hit the button and sent him up as he continued to fight. And that guy did not make it at all. But he said that the government was fully aware that they were down there and that we were drilling, and did not tell anybody what was going on. And so from that day on, he said that he's gonna tell it all like it is, and if they want him to shut up, they're gonna have to kill him. Which that's exactly what they did. They
but now they had a bunch of attempts on his life several times, and they didn't get him. I think they attempted to kill him 5 times. 5 times they attempted to kill him with when they weren't successful, and then I think they finally on the 6th time.
The last lecture he did was in 1996, and during that lecture he said that he had a total of 11 attempts on his life at that point.
Oh, at that point, okay, yeah.
I think the 12th time is what got him, because he already was diagnosed with cancer. So this blast that he received also gave him cancer. And he said a lot of people who in these underground bases that work alongside of these aliens get cancer and end up dying because of they give off low levels of like gamma radiation, and just from them, like they emit it from their body, along with they carry diseases and everything. But yeah, since then he went on basically a lecture tour where he exposed every detail, down to naming out all the different government contracted entities that were involved with building these bases, and all the nefarious things that was going on in these bases. Now, he did talk about there are a total of 11 known different alien species. 2 of what's known are benevolent, or seem to be, which I don't know what. I know the Pleiades species, or tall whites, or Nordic whites, some people call them, are claimed to be a benevolent race that are trying to help us fight the reptilians and small grays and tall grays, for basically our independent, or humans' independence from those alien races that basically have already conquered our whole humanity system.
Yeah.
Guys, per se. Now, I don't know how much of that I believe. Because, yeah, you can be benevolent right now, but you could just be teaming up with, just looking for an ally to take out the competition until you get in charge. And then, but he said that these, another part of this treaty that they signed were that they were allowed X amount of humans to extract basically adrenochrome.
Yeah.
They they eat us, but they don't like eat our flesh and like chow down like a burger. They feed off the secretion glands of adrenaline and different other hormones that we produce, and they basically get like a high off of it, kind of thing, which is just, it's bizarre. And the more I look into this stuff, the more just bizarre it gets.
Yeah,
Where it's like,
it's,
if this stuff's really happening.
yeah, it gets
I think about
really
like
dark
right now. Yeah, it gets very dark very quick, and a lot of overlap with. What I find interesting when you look into the abductions accounts. If you look into an abduction account and not knowing that it was an abduction, like all the build up to right before the abduction, if you looked at that and a basically like a poltergeist type activity in a house, it sounds like the same thing.
Yeah, yeah, and
There's a lot of overlap.
and if you look with Jack Volet, which is the world renowned ufologist, and he's a Frenchman who basically is an atheist, I guess you would say. He said himself, he said, we're dealing with entities, dark, evil entities that are not from, a distant solar system, but they're interdimensional. And then you have L.A. Marzulli's take on this, that these entities are demonic. They're not, again, they're not little green men from a distant star system. They're actually demon entities that they're interdimensional, that I believe are taking humans for a hybrid, um, you know, hybrid alien program. And what you're seeing is, a lot of people say, oh, we want to communicate with these aliens to see, if we can live in harmony. They're benevolent. Well, they're not benevolent, because where
Benevolent.
is it? Where is it okay? Where has it ever been okay to come into somebody's house in the middle of the night while they're sleeping and kidnap them? That's malevolent. That's not benevolent. So
No.
these entities they're not good. I don't care what people say. They're not good. I'm sorry, but if somebody's going to come into my home and try to take my wife, I'm going to do what I have to do to stop them. That's not the way that you don't just barge into somebody's house and try to take them to perform experiments on them. So I think what we're dealing with is exactly what L.A. Marzulli has said, that these are demon entities that are using human DNA for some type of hybrid, that whether they're building an army or trying to build some type of hybrid that can be a go-between, that they can project their spirit into, to be, because basically it seems like these aliens, these tall grays and the small grays, they have a very small mouth, very small ears, big eyes, don't seem to have any genitalia. It almost seems like it's a biosuit that they're in.
Mm-hmm.
It's simply a biosuit. So are they building through this alien hybrid experiment? Are they building bodies for them to project their spirit into, so they can be like us and try to control us and go against us as far as humans?
I definitely think that's what the small grays are. I think the small grays were I think that they were created by the tall grays to be a less threatening version of themselves.
Because they
Because they're
do tend to
because
be
they're
more
small, they
benevolent.
look childlike, they
Yeah.
don't look very intimidating, and I think that that's what those are. I don't think that they're authentic. I think that they're created. Now, what I don't understand, or not understand, none of this you can really ever understand unless you are probably read in on it,
Mhm.
is from different accounts, what seems to be the hierarchy down there is that the reptilians run the show, and the tall grays are the ones who perform these experiments, the ones that are doing these lab testings and stuff and hibernizing with people.
Mhm.
Um, and then the small grays are almost like the worker bee kind of thing. They're the ones that go pick up the people. They're the ones that kind of help out in the lab.
Mhm.
But I haven't heard of anybody been abducted by a tall gray or a reptilian. It's always been like
Yeah.
the small gray. If they do see
Yeah.
something.
And it usually, if once they're kidnapped or abducted by the smaller grays, then a lot of times once they're brought into a laboratory or wherever they're going to perform these experiments on humans, then all of a sudden the tall grays appear, and they're the ones that usually are doing this experimentation
Yeah.
on the humans. Now, one thing that L.A. Marzulli and Jacques Vallée both recognized, that people that were Christians, that when they were in a scenario where they were being abducted, when they were abducted and they called out into the name of Jesus, everything stopped. Their abduction
Mhm.
stopped, everything stopped. So, whether you believe in Jesus Christ or not, there's truth there that in the name of Jesus, there's power, and the abduction stops. It ceases when you call upon the name of Jesus. And that not only happens with alien abduction, that also happens sometimes with, um, uh, you know, with experiences with Dogman and Bigfoot and other so-called evil entities, that when you call out in the name of Jesus, these things run away, or the whatever experiencing you're having, it ceases because you have authority in the name of Jesus.
Yeah. And one box I just don't know what to put. I don't know what to do with these like no, uh Nordic looking Pallades type
Mm-hmm.
ones. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
what box to put them in
Yeah.
because I've never heard a bad story about them or a
You
bad
never hear
experience.
bad stories per se, but I always, when people are talk about them, I just don't get a good feeling. I just don't.
Yeah, and I don't know like what, because obviously the majority of them definitely want to do us harm. They're scary looking. It's like, yes, everybody gets that that one's bad.
Yeah.
They, I think, in with this whole, um, how should I say it with YouTube criteria, the collection of people
Mm-hmm.
that are going missing, especially when it comes to children.
Mm-hmm.
I think that that's what's ultimately behind all of that entire industry. Um, like as of last year, I remember reading something that as of last year, at the end of like 2024, there was over 100,000. This is America.
Wow.
100,000 missing American children. Now I know we had the influx with the illegals, but this was U.S. citizen children. 100,000 missing. Isn't that nuts? That's nuts.
Well, I just saw a report today that on average there's 400 and something thousand children a year
That's crazy.
that can't be accounted for. Now that would be across the board, so that would be within the Child Protective Services and that missing and exploited children. I mean that's across all factors. That there's, I believe the figure was it was a little over 400,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
That's 400,000 children a year. And if you think about it, every time I go to Walmart, they have that big poster board as you go in, and there's just, probably, I don't know, 20 to 30 pictures of missing children.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy, man. That? It's crazy. And that's in every Walmart, dude. And not to count other stores and organizations that are trying to help find these missing and exploited children. So, and that's not counting the children that are coming over here as illegals that, evil things and horrible things are done to them on the way over here. And then once they get here, it's sad. It's appalling. And, what's going on? We truly need to get down to the bottom of what's going on.
Because I just don't believe that I just have a hard time believing that there's that many evil people in the world where a number like that is so big. That means that there have to be even more evil. Because I do believe most people are good people.
I have to disagree. Most people are evil. Yeah. Most people are evil, disgusting people. We just are. It's human nature. It's sin nature. It's the fall of the garden.
Everybody sins, but I think that most people, if you took, okay, let's say you went and selected 20 random people. Mm-hmm. The majority of those people are going to be decent type of people.
On the surface.
They're not going to be ones that are going to be like, yes, let's go round up some children kind of thing.
No, I agree with you to that extent. But
now we all are. That's what I mean by like evil people.
But Brandon, you have to look. I mean, it's just like the guy that was going undercover into these child abduction rings where they were using children, and for sex trafficking and all this stuff. These people decompartmentalize, or they what's the term? They separate their lives, dissociate and separate, compartmentalize. That's what I was trying to say. Compartmentalize. But some of them are family people. They have their family, and then at the same time they're, sexually exploiting children, but they keep it separate, like they're living a double life. And one of the gentlemen, I think his first name's Victor. I can't think of his last name, but he helps to go find exploited children and rescue them. And he said he was dealing with one gentleman that they knew was a sex trafficker. And he said, I was meeting with him undercover. And while we were waiting supposedly on a load, which meant, a load of children, that they were trying to rescue, he was talking about his own daughter and how wonderful his own daughter was, and he loved his own daughter, but yet he's doing these heinous things to these other children. And how does that work? How does a person's mind? It's sick. It's awful. It's how does a person be able to separate things like that? It's just disgusting. So I would have to disagree that most people are good. Most people are, that's what we live in, a fallen world. And I'm not saying that, that all people are evil, but I'm saying people do some pretty sick and nasty stuff. They just do. And it's,
Oh yeah.
And it's terrible. And I guarantee you, Brandon, it would shock the heck out of us what all takes place in our own neighborhood. Just go sometimes on the sexual predators list and see how many people that live in and around your neighborhood. It'll scare the living daylights out of you. It's just, we live in a sick and fallen world, man. And that's why you cannot be relaxed with your children. When you have your children, you have to be on guard. You have to be upfront. You have to ask questions. When my kids were coming up, just they weren't allowed to go to just anybody's house for a sleepover or whatever. And, I just didn't let them do that. Now there were family members and certain church family members that we vetted and we knew who they were, that they were allowed to go on sleepovers or play dates with. But, if it just wasn't, willy nilly of, oh, I want to go over to such and such's house. Well, no, you're not going to go over there until I vet the parents or whatever, or at least when, I'm there. And you just can't be too vigilant in this day and time, because we are seeing not only, children, now we're starting to see women, kidnapped and trafficked, and it happened. Abducted, so you just can't be too vigilant. And I'm, being a parent of a child who was abused by a family member, I'm very, very vigilant. I have no patience for anybody that does a crime against a child. I have no patience whatsoever. And it's something that haunts me, and it sickens me to a degree that, I'm ready to go Rambo on somebody.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's like with the abduction stuff too, and majority of the people that are abducted or that claim that they're abducted by aliens are women, and it always has some type of like sexual connotation to it.
Yes.
Sometimes that they'll be abducted and then become pregnant.
Yeah.
And then they'll get after the first trimester, they're abducted again, and then they're no longer pregnant. Yeah. Nor have a doctor can even tell that they were pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
But they'll get abducted frequently throughout their life, and they'll be told to kind of like not raise their child that was taken from them, but like almost like allow them to like doing like some type of weird type of imprint type deal.
Interaction with that child. How sick is that, Brandon? Yeah, I'm going to take this child away from you, but then, when they're 2 or 3, I'm going to allow you I'm going to kidnap you again so I can take you to see your child at whatever age they're at. And you're just going to be able to see them through a glass, or you might be able to have some type of, interaction with them, but it's not going to be a relationship. And then I'm going to take you back to your house and put you back in bed, and after I've abducted you, and then you think it's all a dream, but it's all sick. I mean, why? That's just, it's heinous to think about an entity doing that to you.
Oh yeah.
The absolute trauma that you would go through in being a woman who's pregnant and expecting to have a child and getting excited about the child, and then all of a sudden you get to a certain time period within your pregnancy, and that you're abducted again, that child is taken from you, and then a series of years or months later you're able to see that child, but only for a short amount of time, and then it's just a sick thing to do to somebody. And the trauma that would inflict on somebody's psyche, I mean, it would just be horrible.
Oh yeah. Well, the theory that they do that is that the child has to experience experience some type of like motherly, I guess you could call it motherly love. Otherwise that doesn't survive.
Mm-hmm.
Like the kid won't, or the child or the hybrid or whatever actually won't survive without some type of interaction with its mom.
But and that's a weird thing
And
too, because it just
that's bizarre.
that. But does this so-called child or hybrid, does it have a soul? Does it, you know? I
Well,
wouldn't think.
at least may have half a soul.
Yeah, I mean it's a very weird and horrible thing to think about, that here's this child it's a hybrid, and it's being created. So basically the mother is being used as, a surrogate mother, so to speak. uh, you know
But it's his actual
um,
mother.
yeah, it's his actual mother, but I'm saying that a surrogate, in the fact that they're inseminating this woman with some other type of DNA,
Mm-hmm.
and then she's being treated as a surrogate because the child is being taken from her at a certain time period. So I'm sorry, I know these people that are kind of woo woo about aliens and all. They want to think that there are alien brothers and sisters, and they're really benevolent beings that want to help us. I'm sorry, that's not helping anybody. That's an evil, um, tragic, just sadistic thing to do to someone.
Well, I don't agree with this whole like going out and trying to summon these lights in the sky and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
I just I mean if you took the title of alien off of it, you'd think you'd be having a seance and you're trying to summon some type of spirit.
exactly.
And when does that ever turn out good?
Yeah,
Never.
yeah, no, correct.
And if these things were so good, now with these Pallades and like these Nordic ones, I don't know what to do with those.
Yeah, those are because it seems like they are malevolent,
Mhm.
and they seem to be very beautiful beings. Most of them are they're they're very fair skinned, blonde haired, blue eyed, and they say their eyes are like blue crystal. Um, so it's weird. Could they be some type of angelic being? I don't know, but it's very strange. But most of the interaction with these um, Nordics, it tends to be very, you know, like just benevolent, and they tend to want to help people.
Yeah, but they also claim that they are from another star system.
Yeah,
Those are
they
the ones
claim
that
that.
are like, I am from another planet kind of thing. Which that's kind of what we were talking about last episode was like,
Hmm.
what if there are these civilizations on other planets? And what if they didn't fall? And
Hmm.
what if God allowed them to come here to help us against these other benevolent ones?
I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility. It's not, because with God, all things are possible. But I just,
It definitely
I
seems weird, but
it's very weird.
if this other civilization didn't fall, they it would make sense why they're able to like communicate telepathically, why they have these what we would call supernatural abilities, because we probably had those at the beginning and then we fell and got them taken away.
But I would think if they didn't fall, then they would be able to commune with God, so they would be in heaven. You understand what I'm saying? So why would they
Well,
even want to come
not
here?
well,
Because
not
see, that
necessarily.
was
If they could, not if that's not what they're assigned to do,
true,
because
but
there's angels that serve God, but they don't get to be in the divine council or anything.
well, no,
They're
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying they would be in heaven, being in heaven instead of you know being on some type of star system, for whatever reason. Um, and I think, and if there were other planets that God had more creation or other creations on those planets, I just think that somehow, some way, that there would be something written about it.
well, not necessarily in the Bible, because the Bible is it that is a map way to for us, specifically us,
Hmm.
to get back to heaven.
Hmm. You're exactly right.
So there
It's,
really wouldn't be any reason for that. Hey, oh yeah, by the way, there's other people over there, and they didn't do what y'all did. So
but at the same time,
because they really don't have anything to do with us. But also, if they were from another star system, because we commune with God in the Garden of Eden, which
yeah.
was described to be on Earth,
Hmm. Hmm. I think it's
and
still on Earth.
yeah, so I guess that does that mean that, or you could interpret that as like the garden was in heaven is in heaven on earth kind of thing, or it was actually on earth and it was just an area where God was able to be like present with you
Hmm.
in a physical type of garden that wasn't in heaven necessarily. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
it makes perfect sense. Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, because
So yeah.
if they are from other star systems,
Hmm.
and they are these different civilizations that God created. They didn't fall. I mean, it wouldn't change anything with us, really.
No, no, but why would they want to come here? And that's my
Be-
question: is if you
Well,
haven't
because it would.
fallen.
Well, it and it could be or it could be something that God has asked them to do.
But when
Well,
when when people have interactions with them, they never speak to that. They always say we're from whatever star system. We we have existed for whatever millions of years, and we're so far advanced than you. There's no talk of God. You would think that.
They do believe in an ultimate God.
Well, they call it a creator, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I just, to me, it's when I hear about them and I hear the interactions with them, I just don't get the warm and fuzzy feeling.
Yeah.
It's too good to be true type of deal.
Or what if one of the perks of not falling is that you get to travel the universe freely
Well, that's another
and
question.
experience all of different all of God's creations.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Now, again, we are God's favorites. At the end of the day, whether we fell or not fell, we are the ones that God loves the most.
Yeah.
So that could be a reason why they want to come here,
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or I just find it interesting. It does make you think about things, and I don't necessarily see it as I don't see them as alien kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. I mean, technically, yes, if we're going by Webster's, but I mean, it's just kind of interesting. What if there are civilizations that God created that didn't fall, that are, because when it talks about these different principalities and these different thrones of,
Mm-hmm.
and there's it talks about the different angels that are assigned um, jobs in the cosmos,
Yeah.
and so those angels are obeying. However, they don't get to, like, their job title doesn't actually like require them to be in the presence of God. They're out doing something else, kind of thing.
Well, and then you have the watchers who, they lusted after earthly women and took them as wives and then bore children, which we've talked about the Nephilim. Though those angels made a choice. Those
Mm-hmm.
watchers made the choice to go against um, God's natural order. So I just, I don't know. These Nordics really kind of. I know. I I want to think, man, maybe they are some good, you know, entity, but there's just something that's down deep when I hear about them. It's almost like, man, they're a chameleon. They're really they're portraying themselves to be something that they're really not.
Oh yeah, and I think, because I wouldn't be surprised if they were if it was all some type of deception.
Correct. That's what I'm
When
trying to get at. Yeah.
Now, however, if it's not, you don't want to, I guess, like, if they're not demonic
Mm-hmm.
and they do believe in the creator, they're not angels, then you got to ask, like, what, because I gotta think that there's, God's created so much stuff, and when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
intelligent entities, you've got to think that he came up with something other than just angel and human. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, he's created several different types of angels too. You know,
Yeah.
it you have different angels with with what he created, and then he's created us as humans. So it's it's just a lot. I mean, you've asked a
It's
lot of
it's
good questions.
crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy to kind of like think about. Now, again, at the end of the day, it's not like I'm gonna go like start worshiping anything like
No,
that.
no, and
No.
at the same time, my worldview is from and your worldview is from the Christian perspective, is from the biblical
Yeah.
perspective, and so um, I just I have to take everything with a grain of salt and fully test it, put it through the litmus test to
Right.
say, okay,
And
is this for real?
that's something that God that he's told us to practice
Hmm.
discernment. You
Yeah,
judge something by its fruits,
yeah,
whether it's good or not, so you're never deceived,
hmm, yeah,
kind of thing.
and
So because that, I mean, I would, if all boxes check out, that would be
mhm,
pretty cool, you know.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It would be,
Now,
and
if all boxes don't check out, then you get put with the draconians.
yeah, yeah, and at the same time,
Whether,
I'm not trying to put God in a box either.
oh yeah,
I'm saying that God has the power to do miraculous and wonderful things, and if I'm not saying that He couldn't create other planets and other beings.
mhm,
That's definitely within His realm of or within the realm of possibility. Um, do I think it's probable? I don't think it's probable, but I'm not taking it off the table.
mhm.
But it's something to really think about. And you asking the questions, these different questions, really gets me to thinking as well.
Well, I think that that's something that would, I think as Christians, are, we think of, I think a lot of Christians kind of think asking these type of questions, you're almost questioning the Bible kind of thing.
Hmm.
In which we gotta remember the Bible is our that is our map laid out to redemption. That's the
Absolutely.
story of how we're supposed to get
100%.
redeemed. That's not
Yeah.
necessarily the history book that's got everything in it,
Yeah.
because there's
Hmm.
nothing that could exist in a physical thing that would have every answer to everything all in one
That's
book.
right.
It would be it'd be insane because I mean the the universe and everything is so much more complex, and there's so much more to what everything God's created than what who's Jesus talking to when he was I think it was like, was it Peter, or when he was walking on the beach, and then he said, you know about as much as a grain of sand on a beach. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I have to look that up.
I'll have to look that up. Basically, our what we think we know about God is a grain of sand on a
Yeah.
beach
Compared to what? Yeah.
compared to
And
what.
it's true. Compared to what truly what is we basically what Jesus saying is, what has been revealed to you is just as a little bit of sand.
Right.
Because God is much more and much vast than that.
Yeah.
So, and that's so true. And that's why as I've talked to you, I'm not taking what you're saying and with the questions that you're asking off the table. I'm just, I guess, through the lens of my narrative or my worldview, um, I I look at it, as I'm focusing everything on God and the Creator and Jesus Christ, because that's where I find my fulfillment
Oh
and
yeah.
who I am, who I am as a person, not excluding anyone else. You know, our job here is to reveal the perspective of the Bible through what we do, but we're not trying to preach. We're just trying to share our perspective. And
Yeah. That,
if
that's why you kind of that's why we I like this is it's we're thinking basically out loud from a biblical narrative.
Correct.
And kind of with this whole alien, because again, I think I mentioned this the last episode. A majority of if the full disclosure came out, the scenario that was basically played out by intelligence agencies that the Christian faith, the majority of the Christian faith would turn from their faith.
Yeah.
The majority of Christians would turn from their faith if the government came out and said aliens are real, basically, which is extremely bizarre.
Mm-hmm. And the Bible says that
and
there's a coming great deception.
What?
Yeah,
and I think that's because as Christians we don't kind of, I think we put too many things in boxes, and then anything we can't put in the box, we automatically kind of chalk up as it either is impossible or it's
mm-hmm.
it's not of God, or do you get what I'm trying to say?
I know exactly what you're going to say. We're talking about things that are taboo in the modern church today.
Yeah, and the thing is, there's no real reason why it would be taboo other than the fact that the Bible doesn't mention anything about it.
Yeah. But in some instances it does. We just have to read and look and understand, because the Bible talks about the crazy stuff that's going to happen in the last days. It says in the last days there'll be signs and wonders in the sky. We've definitely seen that in the recent weeks and months. Not too long ago, we saw all these lights and drones and stuff in the sky. So, and we know now that there's an uptick in UFO sightings or UAP sightings. There's been an uptick in these sightings since they first started or first started reporting. It's just just kind of escalated up until a lot of people are seeing them all the time. I've had a UFO encounter. I've seen a UFO before. So
see, I've never ever seen a UFO or anything that I would even thought would be a UFO.
Yeah, I had an experience, and I had a witness with me in the car that can verify my experience, because they were there in the car with me and saw exactly what I saw, which was a green light. It was a green neon light that kind of popped up, and then it just zigzagged across the sky and did some aerial acrobatics that an aircraft could not do. And then all of a sudden, that green light just encapsulated on itself and disappeared. It was the most fascinating thing I'd ever seen, as far as a UAP, so to speak. But it was neon green. I mean, bright neon green.
That's another thing. Why are they always bright light?
Mm-hmm.
Or just they seem like it's almost pure light, like it's not an actual vessel or vehicle or anything or aircraft. It's almost just it's almost like pure energy ball.
Yeah.
Like, what is that?
Exactly. And that again, I have to go and back to, they have to be, in my opinion, some type of spiritual entity.
That's what I think they are. I think of okay, so when we're in the astral plane, I kind of correlate that with an orb.
Mm-hmm.
So when you catch an orb on a camera or something like that. Now, what happens if something as powerful as an angel is in the astral plane or in a spirit form? Because it can obviously manifest in different forms. what does it look like in its spirit form? Since it's a lot more powerful, does it glow?
Exactly. And listen here, look. Could some of these lights that we see in the sky not necessarily be an actual spacecraft or some type of craft? Could it be an actual spiritual entity that's organic itself? You understand what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Instead of some type of craft made with metal or some type of I think most of them that they believe are made of some kind of iron ore core metal. It necessarily is not that. It could be some type of spiritual light um, that's actually floating around in the sky. Now, I think that some of these UAPs that we're seeing are actually our craft. I think we've talked about this before. They're our craft
Mm-hmm.
that are back engineered, and then some of these entities um, could be this organic spiritual thing, and then some of them could be actually craft that have been built um, by some type of entity that can go in and out of our dimension. So I think that we're dealing with several different things, and how can we tell them apart? How can we know which one is which? Because unless we're able to see one of ours um,
Yeah.
land and take off. And sure, I think it's been reported that some of our new technology, when it first came out, was uh, was mistaken for a UAP. And then as time has gone on, they have figured out, well, I think what they saw was some type of new, the stealth bomber or whatever. And it, they know now that no, that's not a genuine UAP. It was one of our craft. But I think we get into some pretty crazy technology by back engineering some of these uh, craft that have crashed.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think that we get into some technology that our government and our military just salivates over because they want that technology for whatever reason, for war
That's my
or
question that I haven't really thought about until just now. What do they want these crafts for? Obviously, we want to know the technology,
mm-hmm.
and that technology has helped us develop other technologies and advance in that way. But we still are building back engineered our own version of UFOs.
Yeah.
What are we using them for? What are they doing other than just kind of? Do we just build it just to kind of like say we did it, or are we using them for something?
Well, I think we are using them for something. I think that they're used in black ops investigations. I know that I had a friend. He's no longer with us. He's passed on, but he was in the military and with intelligence. And during Afghanistan, he said that they were at base, and all of a sudden these guys came riding in these dune buggies that were just. He said they had war tech on them that was incredible. He said I'd never seen anything that like that before, and he said they had a ectobio suits, so they're suits that basically give them super strength. They're like an ectoskeleton,
Yeah,
and he said that they were not allowed to talk to these guys. They weren't allowed to associate with them. He said they came riding up in their dune buggies. They went into their section of the base. They, I guess, rested, ate, and then turned right back around and left. And he said during that time, we we could have no interaction with them whatsoever. And
yeah.
I believe
Well,
I believe that was the encounter that he had with those people. That's the Phantom Squads. That's the what they call the Phantoms. They as far as the military, they don't exist, and they have no there was no insignias on their uniforms. He said their uniforms were jet black, and like I said, they had these exoskeleton suits that they wore, and
That
he said it
sounds
was
like
just
that incident in Brazil. Was it Brazil where that town was like harassed by these? They
yes,
call
this
them
was
was it Brazil or
I,
Colombia? I can't remember. It was in the jungle somewhere because
it was
they
yeah
were
it was
like
either, it might have
flying
been
in on
Colombia.
these hovercraft type
Yes.
things, and they had these suits on,
Hmm.
and it grabbed that 15-year-old girl.
Yeah,
I keep
it's
yawning.
very that's all right. It's very bizarre, but I think that's I've I think that was Timothy Alberino that was talking about that.
That was Timothy Alberino.
Yeah, and
He
I
he's an
think
interesting guy.
oh, very interesting. And I think Timothy came up with the conclusion that that was our technology, that it
Yeah, because
necessarily wasn't
they said it
aliens,
was
but
they
it was our
described them
technology.
as like human beings.
Yeah, but they were in some type of biosuit on these hovercraft things.
Yeah, and they like walked. They had like these weird shoes where that didn't. They walked and ran, but they never touched the ground, type of thing.
Yeah, it very very bizarre, but even he said he did not think that they were necessarily alien entities. That he thought it was some type of our technology, and they were the whatever was going on, they were exploiting those people in the rainforest,
Yeah,
and most likely what his conclusion, I believe this was his conclusion, was they wanted the land that the village was on, so they were trying to scare these people off that land.
sounds about what they like to do.
Hmm.
They like to control by fear.
That's exactly right. And so I think as we study this the alien agenda, the UAP disclosure, I think there's so many dynamics that are going on. We have our technology. I think there is so-called alien or entity technology that's going on, and I think some of it they're working together, and some of it they aren't working together. And
Yeah, I don't think they're best friends. I think that they use
no
each other for their own agendas,
purposes. Yeah.
and yeah, like they'll agree to work together just because it both serves them. I think
Hmm.
they're both still trying to take over the world, but just see they're just trying to get us out of the way first.
Yeah, for
With
sure. And
with the reptilians, you see all those videos of people's like eyes changing on camera and stuff like that. Do you
mhm.
think the reptilians are shapeshifters and are acting as regular people in our day-to-day life, or do you think those are actual like reptilian beings just disguised as a person, or do you think that that is a person that has been almost like, I guess, possessed or something by a reptilian? Your thoughts?
Uh, I would say take your pick. It could be any one of those things. It could be that these reptilians are hiding in, so to speak, inside of a human meat suit, um, or it could be that this is a manifestation of some type of evil entity that's possessed the body of a human. So I, I would have to say take your pick. I mean, it could be any one of those that you mentioned. But
Yeah.
but we do see that there is some type of reality to this. I mean, a lot of people think that we're probably crazy, and certain people are crazy talking about these, you know, um, lizard people and all this kind of mess. But there's been so many reports, and there are some pretty, you know, undeniable sources, eyewitnesses to it that are credible that
Well, you
said
can
that
see
they
it
have
all
seen.
over. Like you can right now Google um, person on whatever eyes change during an interview or whatever
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing, and you can find a million different hits on it, and you can literally see their eyes change during whatever they're doing on film. Now you can say, "Oh, that's just a trickery of the film. There's a glitch." Okay, fair enough. How come they always change into vertical slit eyes?
Yeah, yeah. And
If
those
there
are
was a glitch, it would be some type of it wouldn't be the same glitch over and over and over and over. Different cameras, different lighting, different people, and different environments and stuff.
and it's the
But they're
same
all
glitch with different
it's the
people.
right, and it's all vertical slit eyes
Yeah,
or um or double what they call it, the third eyelid blink, kind of like
yeah.
the open and shut type
Hmm.
deal. Why is it just those two things that are weird?
Yeah. It's 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 kind of weird. It's very weird how it's they always catch it, and you have to slow it down to really see it. Because
Mm-hmm.
if it's sped up to regular speed, it's almost like, did I just see that? And then when you slow it down, you're like, oh my goodness, this person's eyes changed, and their sometimes their face can get distorted
Yeah,
when they do
that's
that as
what's
well.
weird.
Yeah. Now, do you remember they have a video of a supposed Secret Service agent that was in the Secret Service detail under Obama, that he
Mm-hmm.
had
Oh,
he
I remember.
he was bald and had almost a elongated skull, not really really elongated, but just a little bit of elongation, and he was bald. Didn't seem to have any hair, no eyebrows, no facial hair, nothing. And his skin seemed to be very weird. And he was taller than the rest of the Secret Service agents.
I
I'm
remember
talking
that
about,
picture.
yeah,
Do you remember that
like,
one speech Obama did where there was a bald guy behind him that zoomed in as he was talking, and he had dagger-like teeth?
yes, I've seen that video as well. Yeah.
Now, is that a reptilian, or is that like a person possessed by a rep? Can reptilians even possess people if they're physical?
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
if
that's
they're
a
an
good
actual
point.
being? I think they're disguised.
Hmm. Well, yeah, yeah. Now, when they're in their supposed true form in those underground bases, they say that they're just humongous. Like, I'm talking like, 8 to 9 feet tall. They're just huge. And
Oh yeah.
from what I understand, that the protocol is if you come in contact with a draconian or one of these lizard people, and you're in one of the underground bases, you can't look them directly in the face. Like, they don't like that. Like, they'll hurt you if you look them directly in the face.
Yeah.
They demand that especially the humans, to be submissive.
Yeah, that's bizarre.
Mm.
Like, why would
It's
you do a treaty with something like that?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, you gotta ask. Like, I always ask myself, like,
Mhm.
what were these people thinking?
Yeah, Well, and I think it's amounting to greed. They wanted the technology. They knew the sophistication of the technology, and they wanted. That's all they want is the technology, not necessarily to help humanity, but to help their power, to increase their power.
or just to ensure that nobody else gets it.
Well, that's true as well. Yeah, that's a good point.
Because they're obviously not using it, not for
But
anything that's worth worth all the trouble to, like, they're not getting their return on investment. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
they seem like they're sacrificing a lot to get something that they're not even like wanting to be out there in the first place. So you're going to kind of like completely fold to get something that you know you're not going to use just so you can ensure that nobody else will get it.
yeah, and that's that makes a good. I mean, you make a good point. And then something that we haven't touched on yet, and we talked about, touching on it tonight when before we got started when we had our meeting, is the you know cattle mutilations. What's
Mhm.
that all about? What's the big deal about these cattle mutilations where they take the cow's tongue, the cow's rectum, the cow's genitalia, but leave and it's drained of its blood, but the rest of it's left on the ground.
Yeah.
And then no scavenged animals will go near the dead carcass. Now
No, it just sits there.
it just sit,
And
I
and sometimes it doesn't even like decompose. It just sits there.
it's yeah, it's almost mummified to a certain degree.
Hmm.
Because I raised cows, or when I was in my early 20s, and if we had a dead calf or a dead heifer, we would take it to the back pasture, and I mean, in a matter of overnight, it would be gone because the coyotes and other scavengers, it would just take it off. We didn't have to really worry about, because nature did what it does, and it disposes, the coyotes and possums and buzzards and everything. They took care of the carcass. But when you have these cattle mutilations, they're just all these certain soft tissues are taken, and then it's just left there.
What if they're using it, those particular parts, and trying to like Frankenstein them onto people?
It's a good point. That's a very good point. What are they testing these specific parts for some type of sick twisted experiment, or are they testing these parts because they've exposed this cattle to some type of radiation or some type of pathogen, and they want to know how much of this pathogen we will consume when we consume that animal.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. What are we truly being exposed to? Now, in that case, is it aliens, or is it, you know, our government or um, our tech that's coming in there and doing that to these cows?
I think it's us and our tech.
I'm in agreement. I'm in agreement with you. I think the same thing. I think that it's our tech for sure.
And
Yeah.
sometimes, you know what? I think that it's just, I just think that they want to be a dick and not, and just kill somebody's cow. You know what
Very
I
well.
mean?
And something
Probably just
that's
to incite more fear.
something that's not it's not talked about much, but there has also been human mutilations as well, where a human being has been found in the middle of a field or the woods,
Now, I can
and
see that being alien.
yeah, they've been stripped of their clothes, their eyes, tongue, rectum, and genitalia have been removed, and their blood has been removed, just like a cow, but it's a human being. it's it's rare, but there has been reports of that happening.
Yeah, I
Which
could definitely see that.
that totally freaks me out, man. That totally freaks me out.
Yeah, this whole subject is just, it has my brain just like racing through so many different questions.
Yeah.
And like, what, why would a president sign a treaty with anything that's not supposed to exist, kind of thing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
And
why would a treaty even be like talked about if these things are so much more advanced, so much better, stronger, smarter, whatever? Why would they feel the obligation of, because it says that Eisenhower signed a treaty.
mm-hmm.
Now, does that mean that he was given a treaty proposal from these things to sign and agree to? Or was he signing off on the treaty and whatever with the thing? Also, why would a treaty be necessary for something like that's supposed to be so much more advanced than we are? Yet they're going to go through the formality of typing up a treaty to sign.
Yeah. Yeah.
That doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense.
And how do they sign it? I mean, and when I asked the question, how do they sign it? Do they don't know English, or maybe they do? I don't know, but
Well, what kind of value do they place on a signature?
exactly. Yeah. All they want is to be able to,
Well, it's like they're these 10 feet tall, scary looking reptilian things that are super strong. However, they're just completely defeated because we didn't sign that treaty.
yeah. Because
It's like, if we want to win, don't sign their paperwork.
I'm in agreement with you that that paperwork, I mean, that treaty that was signed is not worth the paper it's written on. To them, they could
Right.
care less. But what they probably understand is that, oh, this makes the humans feel better about what we're going to do, type of deal.
Yeah, but then it's like, what? They don't care about how we feel about things.
No, no.
So what is it that would cause them to practice the restraint of waiting for a treaty to be signed that causes them to, before they took action with impunity on what they wanted?
Mm-hmm. No, again, I think it's a form of control. We can make these humans believe that they have some sort of control, and that will keep them at bay for a certain amount of time. We can play
Or it
nice.
actually does. A signature on a piece of paper could actually uh, have some type of spiritual, um, what is it? Not a some type of like spiritual law that these things have to sign. Like, we'll say that if we didn't sign that, would they be able to still abduct people, or do they need our consent before they can operate?
Yeah, that's a good point as well. I didn't think about that, but that could be that. They would need the consent of our opposed leader
And
to
if they
do
need
these things.
consent, that means that they are operating under the guidelines the the spiritual legality of God,
Mm-hmm.
because nothing
Yeah.
can, unless you give its consent, it's got to follow these rules,
Yeah.
kind of thing. And then it all comes full circle.
Yeah.
Why do you think God made Leviathan?
I think maybe I heard somebody ask this question not too long ago, and I believe the way they answered it is the Leviathan was created to keep a certain, check on, because if you remember, the Leviathan swam up and destroyed some of the Roman army.
Mm-hmm.
So was it created for that purpose, that it would keep certain um, human factions or um, creature fractions in check, um, because it was so, it was so vast. This Leviathan is supposedly just huge,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is, whatever the Leviathan is, and um, and does it still exist?
It could.
Mm-hmm. It's very possible.
I've always wondered that, because wasn't like the Leviathan one of the first animals? Or
That
no?
I'm not for sure of, because the Leviathan was in the sea and the Behemoth was on land,
Yes.
and if you listen, or not listen, but if you read the description of the Behemoth, it almost sounds like a brontosaurus,
Yeah.
because it's so, it would be similar. So I think that's our indication of maybe dinosaurs. They found pottery with human beings supposedly standing next to dinosaurs and that type of thing on the pottery.
Yeah, there's like triceratops and stuff on
I think
was
there's
it
even depiction of people riding these dinosaurs as well.
that'd be pretty wild.
Yeah. So it, but I think that the Leviathan was created to keep something in check. Is
Well,
is what I.
he released them. It's almost like he got kind of like keeps them locked up unless he needs something to happen. He like needs them to go out and kill the Nephilim that are trying to. It's
Exactly.
like, oh, he doesn't just let them run around free, kind of thing.
And that's what it was. You triggered my brain. That's what it was. The Leviathan was created to kill the Nephilim that weren't drowned in the flood.
Yeah.
That's it. That's what the when I was listening to this podcaster, whatever it was, that's what they had the idea that they had come up with. That's why the Leviathan was created, which I could see that makes sense.
Yeah. And then he kind of like locks them back up afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah.
So does that mean they're some type of spiritual type of animal?
Yeah. Who knows? That's a good question.
My brain's just kind of like wandering.
Yeah, I know, right?
Holy crap! It's an hour and 43 minutes.
I know. Yeah, I guess we've touched on everything, haven't we? And a little bit more.
I think so. If there's any questions that we didn't cover that people want to know, please leave us a comment and or DM us or email us or just get in contact somehow. It really helps the channel when people interact. Hit the like button, and it makes a massive difference when somebody likes it. Rather than we probably get what do you think? 20 more listens on one episode per episode if there's a like attached to it.
Yeah, and we gotta, and we're working to really beef up our Instagram page, our Facebook page, and we're trying to come out with a Twitter page, and our YouTube. We're for some reason we're just having some trouble with YouTube and some of the stuff that we post
Keeps
there.
copyrighting everything that we have. Because
I
you see,
know.
like under that circumstance, this would be copyrighted because of the posters behind me. I
Yeah,
think we're
there's something that we're
yeah.
not doing, and we're gonna have to get down to the bottom of it. But yeah, man, I'm excited for the new things to come. I think we've told everybody, May, what is it, May 3rd, that the Bigfoot Festival?
Yes.
Yeah.
May 3rd.
Okay. And I guess, have we found out about our booth or anything yet? Have we?
I don't think we can set up a booth.
Don't think we can? Okay.
No, I emailed the people about a booth, and I haven't got an email back, but I was trying to figure out, like, I can't find anything about setting up a booth because it's more of a festival than a conference.
That's true. But what you could do is call up to that Bigfoot store that we went into, because I'm
now,
sure
if you're a vendor, I could get us on there.
Yeah.
But we're not a vendor.
And I'm sure you got to pay for a vendor spot. It's probably not cheap. Yeah. Okay. But maybe, because I'm pretty sure that they're probably on the board, that Bigfoot store, and maybe ask them some questions about, hey, maybe they would even let us set up a table at their shop and talk to people. It's a possibility.
That's a good idea. I'll call that store.
Yeah.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah, I mean, it would do, it would help them promote their store and maybe help us, get some leads on some investigation areas and people's stories and that type of thing.
Yeah, that's another thing I think we might think about adding to our Facebook or something, some type of like field investigation map plotter kind of thing. where we could have a map on there where people could go ahead and drop a pin on their encounters that they've had.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And kind of that way we could I know they have the Bigfoot map and the Bigfoot mapping project and stuff, but like something that, because those, it's like, oh yeah, there was a sighting here in like 1943, and you look at it and it's like the middle of downtown Nashville kind of thing. It's like, okay, that's irrelevant. Or like, you know what I mean? Or like, let's say somebody's doing it, like investigations in an area, like they could go ahead and plot kind of like what they've seen in that area. I think you're frozen. Archie. Well, guys, I think Archie. Yep, I think he got kicked off. Well, guys, we're going to close it out now. Had a little technical difficulty, but catch us on the next episode. See you later. Hey, man.